Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the affordable Ride1Up Core-5, so let's get into it. Before we get into the walk around, if you are looking to purchase any of the Ride1Up models, please check out the link in the description. Using that link before you make your purchase is a free and easy way to help support Ebike Escape and makes videos like this one possible. Thank you so much for your support. We'll also throw some other resources down in the description below: our electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page, where we track all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. With that, let's get into the walk around of the Ride1Up Core-5. Now, this model has been featured on the channel before, but they've made some updates, so I wanted to do a fresh review and take it through all of our tests to see what it can do. Now, Ride1Up is a brand that I have been working with for 2 years, have been reviewing their electric bikes, and they are among the best value electric bikes on the market. And it's also a brand that I highly recommend. They're on our top e-bike brands list, and they offer a complete lineup of electric bikes. I've reviewed them all at this point, except for the Roadster V2 Gravel Edition. So really covering all price points. The Ride1Up Core-5 is priced at $1195. It sometimes goes on sale. I've seen it as low as $1,045, and sometimes that discount is on specific frames or colors. So just keep an eye out. If they do run a sale, it makes these bikes even more of a great deal. And even though this is an affordable electric bike, you might still want to protect it. So let's get to today's video sponsor. Don't let a thief or an accident rain on your parade. E-bikes are expensive, so why not protect your electric bike with insurance from Oyster? Unlike homeowners or renters insurance, Oyster covers the full value of your electric bike, whether it is stolen from your home or out on an adventure. Plus, you can get coverage for liability and medical payments. The process is simple with only 5 steps. You might be surprised at just how affordable it is. As an example, our beloved 2021 Radwagon 4 with an MSRP of $2,000 plus our e-bike accessories would cost just $13.25 a month or $159 a year for us to insure here in Wisconsin. So head on over to the link in the description so you can get peace of mind and focus on what's important, having fun on your electric bike. Oh, I'm feeling much better now that I'm covered. Thanks to Oyster for sponsoring this video. Now, as I mentioned, there have been some changes, but actually since the first generation, there's been even more changes to this electric bike. I'll call out the most recent ones. They went from a 10.4 amp hour battery to a 12.8 amp hour battery, and they also added a front headlight. And even though they made these changes, they've kept the price the same. Some of the other changes they've made is the front emblem here on the head tube, as well as this really nice textured chainstay protector. And one last thing that they changed on some of the recent generations are the paint schemes. So you can see this black and blue looks really sharp, more of a baby or sky blue, if you will. This bike is offered in 2 different frame styles, a high step model and a step-thru. You can see that we have the blue step-thru here. I'm a huge fan of step-thru electric bikes, just to show off the accessibility. Now, one thing I wanted to point out with the Ride1Up lineup is, I believe it is still the case, if you buy the step-thru, you get the nice swept-back handlebars. Some people might prefer that. And on the high-step models, you get more straight handlebars. And one last thing before we get to all the specs, one thing I absolutely love about this bike is that it is a smaller frame, especially if you get the step-thru, of course, but it is very accessible to shorter riders, maybe one of the most accessible electric bikes that I've personally reviewed. And because of its smaller frame, it's also a little bit lighter than most electric bikes, again, leading to the accessibility. All right, let's jump into the components. First, the tires. These are Kenda Quick 7.5, 27.5 by 2.2 inches wide. Now, they do have more of a street tread. You could do some light off-roading, I guess, with them if you wanted to. Just a note though, you do have a rigid front fork. That's what keeps this bike more affordable. Up front, we have a bolt-on front axle. This is one thing I think they could improve on a future generation, is making this a quick release. For those people who don't want to purchase an expensive rear rack, you can throw it in your vehicle a little bit easier if you can pop off the front wheel. And of course, a quick release makes that a little bit easier. For braking, we have Tektro 160mm rotors paired with Tektro mechanical disc brakes. I really like that they didn't opt for a no-name. Tektro is a brand that we see on many electric bikes, and of course these brakes are mechanical. You're not going to find hydraulic brakes at this price point, but these perform really well. And again, really happy to see that they didn't cheap out on the brakes. Now you'll notice here that there are no fenders, but those can be purchased directly from Ride1Up. You can probably get some aftermarket ones if you check out the Ride1Up Facebook group and do some searching. But for the price, I think the fenders from Ride1Up are a good buy. As I mentioned, with the most recent release, they added a front integrated light, which is nice. It's actually pretty bright, brighter than the average light I see on many electric bikes. It is unbranded, but looks very similar to the bushel front lights that I see on the other Ride1Up models. Another thing I appreciate is the cable management. They did a really excellent job on this bike, keeping these cables nicely wrapped, and all the cables enter in one bundle at the bottom of the frame. I already talked about the front badge, but you can see that this says 1UP Class 3 electric bike, and the company was founded in 2018. One of the standouts of Ride1Up electric bikes is that they, yes, are affordable, but they're also affordable Class 3 electric bikes, meaning speeds up to 28 miles per hour, something you just don't see, especially on some extremely affordable electric bikes, in my opinion, like the Core-5. So if you want to travel at higher speeds, check out all of the Ride1Up models. Let's jump into the cockpit here. Again, mechanical disc brake levers. These have some rubber here for increased comfort. And while these are unbranded mechanical disc brakes, in my experience, they do perform just fine. A nice touch on this bike are these locking rubber grips. You simply don't see locking grips on many electric bikes. Of course, it's something you can always upgrade to aftermarket, but nice that they have went ahead and included them. Already talked about these nice swept back bars. If you wanted even more adjustability, you could add an adjustable stem up here. Note that this is the cell phone holder that I use in all of our review videos. That is not included, but you can check it out on our electric bike accessories list in the description. Moving on to the right side, we have the Shimano Sys Index 7-speed shifter, a basic component from Shimano, but does get the job done. And of course, we see these shifters on many of the electric bikes that we review, even up to the $2,000 or so price point. On all of the Ride1Up models, with the exception of the Prodigy, which doesn't have a throttle, Ride1Up bikes have left-hand thumb throttles. Now the controls are actually built into the display here. More of a small display located on the left side, which is nice because it does give some more options for accessories. And of course, on some affordable electric bikes, we see no LCD screens at all. This is a monochrome display, but it is very easy to read during the daylight, which is something I really appreciate. We have bars in the top left-hand corner for battery capacity. We also have the pedal assist level in the top right-hand corner, 0 through 5. Current speed front and center, and the odometer. Hitting the power button will give us additional information here. Trip and time, as well as watts. This is advertised as a 750 watt motor. I think the highest wattage power I saw here was around 730 or so watts. And it is always nice to see your current wattage usage, and sometimes displays don't have that, so I like that while this display is simple, it does include it. There are some advanced settings here. You can get into them by holding the plus and minus button at the same time. You can reset your trip, and you can change the brightness, the backlight of the screen here, as well as units. And Ride1Up has a full video on this, so I won't go through all of them. But then if you hold the plus and minus button again, you'll get into additional settings. Now, of course, you do want to be careful making any changes to these settings, but one I will point out is SCA here. If I hit the power button, this is where you can change the number of pedal assist levels that you get. So you can go 1 to 5, 0 to 7, 1 to 7, 0 to 9, 1 to 9, I personally like it at 0 to 5, but then pressing the power button again will allow you to change how much motor power you get at every pedal assist level, which is really cool. Something I wasn't previously aware of on this display. So you can see we're getting 8% in pedal assist level 1, 14% in 2, 24% in pedal assist level 3, 40% in pedal assist level 4, and I did go ahead and override this in pedal assist level 5 to get the full power of the motor. And what's really nice is you can customize this to your liking. And as I mentioned, there are other settings here as well. Be sure to check out Ride1Up's full video on this if you want to learn more about what all these settings do. Jumping down to the battery here, we do have a button which will give you an idea of the current capacity of the battery. The charge port is located on the right side here. You can charge the battery both on and off the bike, and there is a keyhole here for the keys. This is a Ride1Up battery pack. Ride1Up makes different styles of battery packs, and so you'll see that brand on numerous electric bikes. And I really like that Ride1Up went ahead and made the battery case painted to match the frame. Now if I turn the key to the right here, you'll see it pop out. Again, you don't often see integrated batteries, especially at this price. So this bike doesn't even really look like an electric bike, at least at a quick glance. As I mentioned, one of the big changes with this generation is the 48 volt 12.8 amp hour battery, 614.4 watt hours. So again, such a nice change, and all while not increasing the price. Put the battery back, simply put in the bottom portion of the battery first and click it into place. As is common on most affordable electric bikes, we have a cadence sensor. If you're looking for a torque sensor, you can check out the Limited or the Ride1Up Prodigy, both models that we have reviewed. The Core-5 comes with these Neko metal pedals, and they also have reflectors on them. If you want something to match the frame, there are tons of choices on Amazon. The kickstand is located towards the rear of the bike, so no issues with the pedals coming in contact with the kickstand when you're moving the bike around. There's a look at the rear mechanical disc brake. Again, 160 millimeter rotors. And again, fenders are optional. There are mounts for that. And you can also purchase a rear rack so you can customize this electric bike to fit your needs. Let's jump to the saddle here. Ride1Up uses these Sella Royale saddles. These are a little bit narrower than we see on some electric bikes, and seats are really personal preference. So if you want something more comfortable, check out our electric bike accessories list. And I'll just call out, while this is a smaller electric bike, the seat post can definitely be raised high enough for someone like myself who is 6 feet tall. So that is not an issue to get full leg extension on this bike, though perhaps I would want a little bit of a longer reach. So be sure to check out Ride1Up's geometry section of the product page. They have all the geometry dimensions of both the step-thru and the high step. Moving on to the motor. Again, this is advertised as a 750 watt sustained motor. Stay tuned for the first person riding footage. We'll see what this motor can do, see how fast we can go, and of course take it up our large hill climb test. For gearing in the rear, we have a 12 to 32 tooth rear freewheel. Again, I talk a little bit more about the gearing of this. I do like that it goes all the way down to 12. Just a note that on the website, I believe it says 11 to 32 teeth, but mine did come with a 12 to 32 tooth rear freewheel. In the front, we have a 46 tooth front chainring, single-sided, made out of plastic. Again, I believe the website said 44 teeth. Moving to the back, we have a Shimano Altus derailleur, a Shimano component we see on so many electric bikes, again, all the way up to the $2,000 price point. Gets the job done in our experience. You can make adjustments with the barrel adjuster here. We have the motor cable coming in on the right side of the bike here, and we have this nice chain stay protector that's right on the frame from the factory. On the other side, I believe it says take your riding to the next level. Quick disconnect for the motor cable here, and of course the derailleur cable. Again, all those cables come down from the bottom of the down tube right here. I also wanted to point out the bottle cage boss is located on the seat tube here. You can put a lock there or a bottle cage. Just a note, it might interfere a little bit if you're really leveraging the lowest point of this step-through frame. All right, with that, let's get into some first-person riding footage and we'll put the Core-5 motor to the test. Okay, first-person riding footage on the Ride1Up Core-5. Just a note, as I mentioned earlier, there are some settings you can change in the display, and I went ahead and changed Pedal Assist 5 to make sure it is giving me 100% of the power. Besides that, I made no other changes. Of course, you should make any changes to the display at your own risk. And of course, be sure to follow all local laws and regulations. I have the speedometer app by Cool Nix here. And our first test will be throttle only. 3, 2, 1, here we go. 2, 7, 11 miles an hour, 14, 16, 18, 19. There's 20, 21, and I felt the motor cutting off there. And looks like it's holding me at 20 miles an hour, maybe 21. Of course, that's to abide by the Class 2 electric bike regulations, 20 miles per hour top speed with that throttle. All right, let's turn pedal assist off here. I do get the question about whether you can ride an electric bike with no power, and maybe more so than others, this bike is actually a lot easier to ride given that it is just a smaller bike, a little lighter weight. And I'm in 6th gear still, going about 10 miles an hour, definitely a slower cadence, so I could shift down. And I could go like this for some time. Hopefully you never run out of battery or have any issues, but it's good to know that you can pedal this bike. Hills still will be a little bit more of a challenge for sure. All right, let's go in the various pedal assist levels. We'll start in pedal assist level 1 and 4th gear here. And just feel a little bit power from that motor, which is nice. Again, you can go and customize it. So this is more or less the stock settings besides pedal assist level 5. So they're not giving you a ton of power in pedal assist 1 right from the factory. Some bikes in pedal assist 1 will give you lots of power, and some people don't necessarily want all that power. Looks like we're going about 13 miles an hour or so. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 2. Again, just felt a little bit more, not much in pedal assist level 2. Going about 14, 15, 16 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 3. Now I still was in 4th gear. I could probably shift up now to 5th gear. Going about 17 miles an hour. Nice cadence and still providing plenty of my own power. And yeah, it looks like we're holding around 16, 17 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 4. 17 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour. I could probably go up to 6th gear here. Getting closer to that 20 miles an hour. And again, between all of those pedal assist levels, just minor jumps in power. You can barely notice it. All right, I will start from a stop here, and we're gonna go into pedal assist level 5, and we'll see what the top speed of this bike is. It's really where this bike shines if you want to travel at higher speeds. It is capable of doing so, and that can't be said for many affordable electric bikes. Going to shift up to 7th gear here. All right, we're going 25 miles an hour. 26. Display is reading just shy of, there we go, 27. And actually, I'm pretty impressed with the gearing And because while I am pedaling at a faster cadence, I'm still providing plenty of my own effort. So this would be comfortable, in my opinion, for me to ride a long distance at the speed of 27 miles an hour. Let's see if we can see 28. The display is reading 28. GPS still reading 27. I was actually getting a bit of a workout there, which is always nice. Now, of course, I can pedal just to keep the pedals moving, and you're still going to be able to get up to speed. I was just choosing to pedal a little bit harder there. So 26, 27, very, very easy on this bike, even if you don't want to provide a whole lot of power yourself. Well, we know what this bike can do on flat ground. Let's see how it does on our large hill climb test. All right, hill climb test on the Ride1Up Core-5. This is the hill that we test out all of the electric bikes that we review, so you can compare and contrast the performance. We'll put a picture of the hill on the screen because it looks so much smaller on the GoPro, and we'll also throw up the specs as well. And first test will be throttle only. And just to note, even in pedal assist level 0, you do have access to the throttle, just something to be aware of. And we'll get up to speed here, and I'm very curious what this bike can do. Getting up to that 20 miles an hour. And just to note, I did fully charge up the battery before my ride today. All right, hill is starting now. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. I believe 11 is going to be the minimum speed on this bike. So while I don't necessarily recommend using throttle only on such a steep hill like this, the bike is certainly capable of doing so. Just making the motor work pretty hard. All right, and the hill is planing off here. So I'm going to go back down the hill and we'll do the hill climb test while pedaling. Okay, hill climb test while pedaling. I should mention it in more of my videos. Just to note, I am a lighter weight rider at around 145 or so pounds. And weight does play a pretty big factor. For instance, if someone who is heavier went up the hill, the performance would be significantly different. So just something to be aware of if you're watching our reviews. The other thing I just wanted to touch on are these brakes. Now these are mechanical disc brakes. I did get up to 28 miles an hour down the hill, and while the stopping distance was a little bit longer than what you'd expect from hydraulic brakes, they were able to get me to a stop. And of course, at such a budget price of the Core-5, you can't expect hydraulic brakes. And of course, when you're traveling at higher speeds, you just need to be more aware and realize that your stopping distance is going to be a little bit longer. All right, with that, let's do the hill while pedaling. Now, I have to imagine here, I'm going to want to go into a higher pedal assist level. Right now I'm in 1. I am shifting down here. Second gear right now. And so in pedal assist level 1, we don't get a ton of power, though, of course. Again, you can change that. Let's go into first gear here. So while I think I could do the hill in pedal assist level 1 in first gear, it's going to be a lot of work. I'm pushing pretty hard right now. So let's go into pedal assist level 2. Again, just feel the motor, maybe a little bit. We're going 6 miles an hour. I would most definitely go into higher pedal assist level. Pedal assist level 3. Still working plenty hard. Let's go into pedal assist level 4 here. There we go. I felt like that was the pedal assist level where I finally felt just a little bit of relief. But still going about 7, maybe 8 miles an hour. All right, pedal assist level 5. There we go. Now I could shift up here. So this is probably how I'd set up the bike for me personally. I like to get a good workout in. And so you have pedal assist levels 1 through 4 pretty close together with slight speed differences between them. I'm going about 14 miles an hour in 4th gear. And then reserving pedal assist level 5 for when you're doing big hills like this, when you really want the full power of the motor. And I'm still providing plenty of effort, but totally doable. And of course I could shift down if I needed to. All right, and we're getting to the top of the hill. With that, let's get to some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Ride1Up Core-5. There's a reason we've reviewed almost every single Ride1Up electric bike on this channel. The value simply can't be beat. Prices start at just $10.95 and go up to $23.95, so there's likely at least one model in your price range. The Core-5's regular price is $11.95, which means if you can catch this model on sale, all the better. It's a great e-bike for someone new to e-bikes that maybe doesn't want to make such a big commitment with their first e-bike purchase, or perhaps someone who just doesn't need all of the frills. Don't let the low price steer you into thinking it's a low quality e-bike, especially since there's some hidden benefits to this e-bike which may not be apparent when you're shopping on their website. For one, this is a more traditional framed e-bike that is still accommodating to shorter riders. Ride1Up notes the Core-5 step-thru pictured here will fit riders all the way down to 5 feet tall. Even at 6 feet tall, I fit on this e-bike, though of course I personally have a myriad of options being a taller rider. Most often you'll find folding e-bikes for shorter riders, but let's face it, not everyone wants a folding e-bike. So that's a huge selling point for this e-bike in my opinion. Next, it comes in at 49 pounds while not sacrificing too much on battery capacity like the stealthy e-bikes. This makes it easier for newer riders to handle or those who are intimidated by heavy e-bikes. For comparison purposes, the next step up, the Ride1Up 500 series, weighs 55 pounds and the 700 series weighs 62 pounds, a more average weight for e-bikes. These are the two main reasons that my mom chose the Core-5 as her first e-bike back in 2020. She also appreciated the swept-back handlebars for a more comfortable riding position. There are other things to like about the Core-5, especially when you compare it against e-bikes at the same or higher price. The integrated battery for a cleaner look, name brand Tektro mechanical disc brake, and let's not forget that this is a Class 3 e-bike capable of speeds up to 27 miles per hour during our testing. It is worth calling out that the bike doesn't come with fenders or a rear rack, but those can be both picked up from Ride1Up at a reasonable cost if you should need them. You can check out our Core-5 accessories video in the top right hand corner of your screen for some ideas. An important consideration when buying this e-bike is that the Core-5 does not come with the front fork installed, meaning more assembly than usual is required. Ride1Up prioritized getting the shipping box size down as small as possible to save on cost, and thus the lower price of this e-bike is reflective of that. Just another reason you won't find many e-bikes with these specs at this price. So either check out Ride1Up's assembly instructions, watch our live unboxing video, though we aren't professional mechanics, or even better, enlist your local bike shop for assistance. I really appreciate the changes on the new Core-5, namely the larger battery and integrated front light, all without increasing the price. If we helped you decide that a Ride1Up e-bike is good for you, please do us a huge favor and check out the link to Ride1Up's website in the description below. Thanks so much for your support. Would love to hear your thoughts on the Core-5 or any other affordable e-bikes you're considering. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.